Imagine standing in the middle of a forest. Birds are singing, the wind is calm, everything feels normal. Then, without any warning, a flash brighter than the sun lights up the entire sky. Seconds later, an explosion so powerful shakes the earth. The shockwave knocks people off their feet. Windows break hundreds of kilometers away. And in only a few moments, more than 80 million trees fall to the ground. But when scientists finally research the area, they discover something impossible. There is no crater, no piece of a giant rock, no clear answer. More than 100 years later, the Tunguska Event is still one of Earth's greatest mysteries. What exploded over Siberia? What is it, a giant asteroid, a comet, or something even stranger? Today, we are going back to June 30th, 1908 to uncover what really happened. This story begins in one of the most remote places on Earth, Siberia, Russia. In 1908, this land was almost untouched. There was no cities, very few roads, only endless forested scratching for thousands of kilometers. Because so few people lived there, what happened that morning almost went unnoticed by the rest of the world. On June 13th at around 7:14 in the morning, people looked up and saw something unusual. A bright object was racing across the sky. Some said it looked like a second sun. Others described it as a giant ball of fire. It moved incredibly fast, leaving a glowing tail behind it. For a few seconds, the sky became brighter than daylight. Then, everything went silent. A moment later, the explosion arrived. A massive shockwave rolled across the land. People were pouring to the ground. Windows shattered hundreds of kilometers away. The ground shook like an earthquake. Even people far away reported seeing the sky glow for days after the explosion. But no one knew exactly what had happened. The center of the blast was simply too remote. For years, the mystery remained hidden deep inside the Siberian forest. You might wonder, why didn't scientists investigate right away? The answer was simple. The explosion happened in one of the most remote places on Earth. The area had no roads, no railways. And in the years that followed, Russia was facing political unrest and war. Because of that, no major scientific team reached the blast site for almost 19 years. Finally, in 1927, Russian scientist Leonid Kulik led an explosion into the Siberian forest. After days of traveling through rivers, mud, and thick forest, his team arrived. What they saw was beyond anything they expected. Trees covered the ground in every direction. From above, they formed a giant pattern, like the spoke of a bicycle wheel. Everything had been pushed outward from one central point. It looked exactly like the result of an enormous explosion. But then, they noticed something impossible. There was no impact crater, no giant hole, no massive space rock, nothing. Even stranger, near the central of the blast, some trees were still standing. Their branches had been burned away. Their trunks were black, but they had not fallen. It was as if the explosion had happened high above the ground, sending its energy outward instead of downward. This discovery changed everything. If nothing had struck the earth, then what caused one of the most powerful explosions in record history? For more than 100 years, scientists have searched for an answer. Many theories have been suggested. Some sound reasonable, others sound like science fiction. Let's look at the biggest one. Theory 1, an asteroid. This is the theory most scientists support today. a rocky asteroid about 50 to 60 meters wide entered Earth's atmosphere at incredible speed. As it rushed through the air, the pressure became too great before it could hit the ground. It exploded nearly 5 to 10 kilometers above the forest. This is called a airburst. Because the explosion happened in the sky, there was no crater, but the blast wave below was powerful enough to flatten millions of trees. This theory matches most of the evidence found in Tunguska. Theory 2. A comet. Some scientists believe the object wasn't a rock at all. Instead, it may have been a comet. Comets are mostly made of ice and dust. When one enters Earth's atmosphere, the intense heat can completely destroy it before it reaches the ground. If that happened, almost nothing would be left behind. That could also explain why investigators found no large piece of the object. Theory 3. The strange ideas. Over the years, people have suggested much stranger explanations. Some claim it was an alien spacecraft that exploded in the sky. Others believed a tiny black hole passes through Earth. One famous story even blamed inventor Nikola Tesla, suggesting one of his electrical experiments somehow caused the blast. These ideas are interesting. But there is no strong scientific evidence to support them. Today, they remain stories rather than facts. So, what really happened? After decades of research, the airburst theory remains the best explanation. It fits the pattern of fallen trees. It explains why there was no crater. And modern computer simulations show that explosion high in the atmosphere could create almost exactly the same damage. Even so, scientists still don't know every detail, and the small bit of uncertainty is what Tunguska Event continues to capture people's imagination. Because something the most fascinating mysteries are the ones that are almost solved. More than 100 years have passed, but the Tunguska event is still a mystery. One huge explosion, no crater, and many questions. Today we think an asteroid caused it, but we still don't know everything. And that is what makes the story so interesting. If you enjoyed this mystery, subscribe to Foreign for more true stories because sometimes the biggest mysteries are real.